Welcome back, everyone, to the Deep Dive. This time, we're going deep with Alain de Botton's Art as Therapy. We'll be looking at art not in the traditional sense of just appreciating it, but more as a tool for a richer life.
Yeah, he kind of flips the script, doesn't he? Art as a practical guide, almost. Like a self-help book, but with paintings and sculptures.
Exactly, not just for museums or galleries, but for everyday life. He really dives into how art can help us process emotions, find balance, really live better lives.
And one of the things that really stood out to me was how art can connect us with our past. He calls this the remembering function.
Ah, so like
Yeah.
looking back at old photo albums and remembering good times.
It's more than just, nostalgia. Think
Hmm.
about it. Those photos are tangible pieces of your personal history, right? Each one evokes feelings, reminds you of who you are, where you come from.
And what about, say, a painting of a historical event? Does that count as remembering too?
Absolutely. It's like a window to the past, connecting with a specific time and place, even feeling a sense of empathy for the people who lived through it.
So remembering through art isn't just about facts and dates. It's about feeling that connection to our past, both personal and, I guess, collective.
Exactly. And that emotional connection, it can be incredibly powerful, especially when we consider how it relates to another function of art, hope.
Oh, interesting. How does remembering tie into hope through art?
Well, if art can help us remember where we've been, it can also help us imagine where we might go. It can give us strength, inspiration for the future.
Like if a piece of art reminds me of how I overcame a past struggle, it can also give me hope for dealing with something I'm going through now.
Exactly. Think of Van Gogh's Starry Night. Even though he was going through some really tough times, that painting is full of wonder, a sense of possibility.
Right, even when things are dark, art can remind us there's still beauty and light out there.
And that's where hope becomes this, antidote to despair. It's important to remember that art doesn't shy away from tough emotions either. De Botton argues it can actually help us face those emotions head on. He calls this sorrow.
I can see how that might be helpful. But isn't there a danger that art could make us feel worse if it's dealing with, heavy stuff like grief and loss?
That's a fair point. But think of it this way. When we see art that depicts sorrow, whether it's music, sculpture, whatever, it can make us feel less alone in our own struggles.
So it's like seeing our own emotions reflected back at us, making them feel, I don't know, less overwhelming.
Exactly. Art allows us to experience those emotions without judgment, without feeling like we need to fix them right away.
That makes sense. But what happens when those difficult emotions, throw us off balance? Can art help us get back to a sense of equilibrium?
De Botton talks about this directly with rebalancing. He argues that in our modern world, we often prioritize logic and reason, sometimes at the cost of our emotional well-being.
Yeah, like we get so stuck in our heads that we forget about our hearts.
Right, and that's where art comes in. It reminds us about feelings, intuition, the beauty of life, those things. But how does it actually do that? Is it just a distraction, or is there something more to it? I think it's deeper than distraction. Some research even suggests that engaging with art actually activates different parts of the brain, like the areas connected to emotion, creativity, even empathy.
So it's like art helps us tap into a different way of processing the world, one that's less about thinking and more about feeling.
Exactly. And by tapping into those feelings, we can start to restore a sense of balance within ourselves.
This is making me think about how art isn't just out there. It's something we can use to understand our own inner world better.
You're getting it. And that brings us to another function, self-understanding.
Ooh, this sounds interesting. Tell me more.
De Botton suggests that art can be the powerful tool for introspection. By engaging with different forms of art, we can learn more about ourselves, our personalities, values, maybe even our fears.
So it's like art is a mirror reflecting back our subconscious, showing us things we might not even realize about ourselves.
Yes. Think about a time you were moved by a piece of art. Maybe a song that made you cry, or a sculpture that filled you with awe. Those strong reactions can tell you a lot about what's going on beneath the surface.
Wow, that's fascinating. So even our random likes and dislikes in art can actually mean something deeper.
Right. The more you engage with art, the more you can learn about what really resonates with you deep down.
It's like art becomes our guide on a journey of self-discovery.
I like that. And speaking of journeys, De Botton says art can also be a catalyst for personal growth. He calls this growth.
Okay, now I'm really intrigued. How does art help us grow?
Well, art has this incredible ability to challenge our views and expand our horizons. When we experience art from other cultures or time periods, we encounter new ideas, new ways of thinking. It makes us question our assumptions.
So it's like art shakes us out of our comfort zones, encouraging us to be more open-minded.
Absolutely. And that kind of growth, both intellectual and emotional, is essential for becoming, well, better humans, right?
This is all so interesting, but I'm curious. We haven't really talked about how art helps us feel less alone. Isn't that a big part of its therapeutic power, especially in today's world?
You're absolutely right. That sense of connection is vital, and art offers a powerful remedy for loneliness. Whether it's going to a museum or concert or just sharing a book with a friend, art brings people together.
So it's not just about individual experiences, it's about the shared experiences that art creates.
Right. Think about going to an art exhibition or a concert. You're surrounded by others who are also touched by that same piece of art. That shared experience, that feeling of belonging, it's powerful.
It's like art bridges the gaps between people, even if they come from different walks of life.
Exactly. And in a world where so many people feel isolated, that sense of connection can be incredibly healing. We'll delve deeper into the remaining functions of art, including appreciation after a short break. Stick around.
We were talking about how art can connect us, even combat loneliness. Now, I'm curious about that last function Botton talks about, appreciation. Sounds great in theory, but how does appreciating art actually help someone in, like, a concrete way?
Appreciation, it's kind of the glue that holds all the other functions together in a way. It's not just about liking a piece of art, it's about really seeing the beauty in everything around us. In art, sure, but also in daily life.
So kind of like mindfulness, but for, like, aesthetics.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. When you really appreciate art, you're being mindful. You're noticing the details, the colors, the forms, the way it's all put together.
And that can then change how you see things in your own life.
Exactly. Suddenly, you might start noticing the way light shines through leaves or those intricate patterns on a building you walk by every day, things you might not have even seen before.
Like art gives you a new way of looking at the world, making even ordinary things seem special.
Right. And that shift in how you see things, it can really make a difference in how you feel overall. Appreciation becomes about being grateful for the beauty around you, and that can be a source of real joy.
So we've covered all 7 functions: remembering, hope, sorrow, rebalancing, self-understanding, growth, and appreciation. Art is clearly more than just, decoration. It's a real tool for navigating life. But how do we actually use it? How can we bring more art into our daily lives?
The great thing is, you don't need to be an art collector or spend all your time in museums to get these benefits. Botton has some really practical tips.
Okay, let's hear them. I'm ready to give this a try.
One simple thing is to make a little art space in your home. It could be a corner in your living room, a special wall, even just a shelf where you put pieces of art that mean something to you. It doesn't have to be fancy.
I like that. It's like a personal retreat, just for your mind and spirit.
Exactly. It's a space to relax, think, and connect with yourself. Another idea is to actually make looking at art part of your daily routine. Start your day with a favorite painting, or maybe end your evening browsing an online gallery.
So it's about making art a conscious part of your day, even in small ways.
Yeah. And Botton also talks about music and literature. Make playlists that fit your mood. Something calming for your commute or something upbeat to get you going at work. Even reading a few pages of a novel every day can make a difference.
Like creating a soundtrack and a story for your life.
Exactly. And don't forget about the art that's already all around you, right? The architecture of buildings, the design of everyday objects, the way nature makes patterns and textures. Learning to see beauty in those things can make even the most ordinary parts of your day more enjoyable.
This is all such great advice. And the best part is, anyone can do it. You don't need to be an expert or have a lot of money to benefit from art.
Absolutely. Art is for everyone, and its power to heal is there for everyone to tap into. It's just about being intentional, being curious, and being open to seeing the beauty that's all around us.
What about art therapy in a more, formal setting? What's happening in that area?
Oh, that's a great point. The whole field of art therapy is really evolving, and it's exciting to see how art is being used in healthcare and community settings these days.
Yeah, we've been talking about individual benefits, but what about art therapy as an actual clinical practice?
It's becoming more and more accepted as a valuable tool in hospitals, mental health facilities, even schools. Trained art therapists are working with people one-on-one or in groups to help them express themselves, deal with emotions, and cope with challenges.
So it's not just about creating nice art, it's about using art to communicate and to heal.
Right. Art therapy can be especially helpful for people who have trouble putting their feelings into words. It gives them a safe way to explore difficult emotions and experiences without having to talk about them directly.
Can you give us some examples of how it's being used?
Sure. Art therapists use all kinds of mediums, painting, drawing, sculpting, even music and drama, to help people work through things like trauma, manage anxiety and depression, or cope with chronic illnesses. It can be incredibly powerful for people to find their voice and process their experiences through art.
It sounds like art therapy is playing a more and more important role in like a holistic approach to healthcare.
It definitely is. And it's not just limited to hospitals and clinics. There are also a lot of community-based art therapy projects that are bringing these benefits to more people.
Like what kind of projects?
Oh, there are so many great ones. Some communities are using murals to completely transform neighborhoods, creating spaces that bring people together and make them feel proud of where they live. Others are setting up community art studios that provide a safe space for people to be creative and connect with others.
So it's about using art to heal and empower individuals and whole communities.
That's it. And it's also about acknowledging that creativity and self-expression are valuable in themselves, whether you're good at art or not.
This is all so inspiring. I'm curious about technology and its role in the future of art therapy. What kind of innovations are we looking at?
That's a great question, and it's an area with so much potential. We're seeing all these new digital and interactive art forms that are making art's healing power even more accessible.
Can you give us some specifics?
Well, virtual reality, VR, and augmented reality, AR, are being used to create really immersive therapeutic experiences. Imagine putting on a VR headset and suddenly you're on a peaceful beach or in a quiet forest. It can be so calming, especially for people who can't easily get out into nature.
Wow, that's incredible. It's like taking a mental vacation without even leaving your house.
Exactly. And AR can add digital art onto the real world, creating these interactive experiences that use multiple senses. This can be great for people with cognitive or physical challenges, giving them new ways to experience art.
That's amazing. What other technological advances are we seeing?
We're also seeing more online galleries and platforms where people from all over the world can connect and share their art. It breaks down geographical barriers and creates a sense of community. It's like a giant online art studio that anyone with internet access can join.
So technology is making art therapy more accessible and inclusive than ever before.
Absolutely. And it's not just about access, it's also about innovation. Digital art tools are opening up whole new ways for people to express themselves creatively, especially those who might not be comfortable with traditional mediums.
This whole conversation has been a fantastic journey into the world of art as therapy. We've covered its history, its healing power, practical tips, and even what the future holds. I feel really inspired to bring more art into my own life, but I do wonder, with all this technology, are we at risk of losing sight of the simple act of creating and appreciating art in its traditional forms?
That's a good point to think about. It's important to remember that technology is just a tool, and how we use it is up to us. The real heart of art therapy is that human connection, the act of creating, expressing, and sharing. Technology can make those experiences richer, but it shouldn't replace them entirely.
That's a great reminder. It's about balance,
Yeah.
right? Being open to the possibilities that technology brings while still honoring the traditional forms of art that have inspired and healed people for centuries.
You got it. It's a really exciting time for art therapy, and I'm optimistic about what the future holds.
Me too. And on that hopeful note, I think we've covered a lot of ground today. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into art as therapy. I hope you found it as insightful and inspiring as I have.
I did. And I have one last thought to leave you with. What piece of art has really resonated with you, really moved you, and how did it make you feel? Think about your own experiences with art and how it can help you heal and grow.
That's a great question to ponder. And with that, we'll wrap up this episode of The Deep Dive. Until next time, keep exploring, keep creating, and keep letting art enrich your lives in all its wonderful forms. It's amazing, right? Like, from cave paintings to VR, it's all about humans creating and connecting through art. It's like this, I don't know, this basic human need across time.
Yeah, it really does feel like something fundamental, that urge to express ourselves, figure out the world, find beauty even when things are tough.
Well, I think we've covered a lot of ground today, really dug deep into art as therapy, looking at like its history, how it helps us, how we can use it practically, even what's coming next in the field. I don't know about you, but I feel super inspired to make art more a part of my life.
That's great. I hope everyone listening feels that way too. To, see art in a new light, explore how it can help them heal and grow, and just discover how it can make their lives better in all sorts of ways.
For me, the big takeaway is that art isn't just something to look at in a museum. It's something we can actively use to understand ourselves, something that can help us through the ups and downs of, well, being human.
I love that. Art is a powerful tool for making life more meaningful, more fulfilling. And the best part is, it's for everyone. It doesn't matter where you come from, what you've done, or how artistic you are.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for joining us on this journey of discovery. Until next time, keep exploring, keep creating, and keep letting art make your life better.
And one last thing to think about. What piece of art has really stuck with you, moved you in some way, and how does it make you feel? Take some time to reflect on your own experiences with art and how it can help you heal and grow.
That's a great question to leave everyone with. And on that note, we'll wrap up this episode of The Deep Dive. See you next time.